Hello, ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima. Let me talk to you for a little bit about Resist, which is an Oculus Quest exclusive VR game from the developers of Rush, Mini Motor Racing X, and Gun Club VR, all of which are very good. Like, don't get me wrong, what's the name of the developer? The Binary Mill. The Binary Mill are actually really good at making VR games, and I wish they had a higher budget, because I feel like they would be able to pull off something amazing if they just had a bit more money behind them. But for now, we have Resist, which is open world Spider-Man, but with guns. And that's a phrase I feel like is being really overused in the VR community right now. But there is at least some legitimacy to it, because you swing around these buildings in an open world environment, drones swarm in from every direction sometimes, and you shoot them with guns. It's an entirely reasonable description, but just gonna say that, yeah, it does feel like Spider-Man with guns. And in fact, it even copies a few other things from it, like certain puzzles you have to do. Its overall structure, where you have a line of main missions to do, side missions off to the side that you have to go and discover, and an upgrade system which lets you do things like improve the capacity, the strength of your guns, or the speed of your swings, or a couple of other things along those lines, you know? So, it's a pretty standard structure. There's nothing really wrong with the way the game has laid itself out. With that said, the world itself struggles to make any sense to me. Now, I don't know if this is their first attempt at making something with a relatively heavy story focus, and by they I mean the Binary Mill, because Mini Motor Racing X, Gun Club VR, and Rush VR, none of them have had a story, so I can kind of understand what the problem might be. But with this game in particular, the entire idea of the story when you start it is it's your first mission with a resistance group, and you're going up against some titanic big bad that the game hasn't seen fit to tell you about yet. Then you go to the CEO's building, or the building of the president of this company, and you see the president of this company get shot by the vice president of this company, and then you run away. And then suddenly you're fully on board with the resistance. Now, it leaves me with a couple of questions that the game did not seem to feel necessary to resolve. Like, for example, who is this company? It is named, but I'm not entirely sure if they say the name more than once. Hell, they even just say the president. I don't think they even say the president of Astro Robotics, or whatever the name of it was. And what have they done to make them worth resisting? Do they control this city? I don't know. They've got a bunch of billboards around the place. They've got a bunch of drones everywhere, so it's possible. Did they take over through some kind of government subjugation or what have you? I have no idea. They don't tell you. Have they done anything particularly bad? Because, who knows, maybe they've been providing a massive good to this community, but we don't see that either. So, it feels like they've dropped you into this world with an expectation that you know a bunch of cyberpunk stories, and the majority of cyberpunk stories are massive corporations have taken over the world or the city or what have you, and you need to resist them because they're bad. It feels like you know this, so it decides not to tell you any of this, and it's just like, resist corporation. And you're meant to fill in the rest of the dots yourself. It's like, resist corporation blank blank blank, and it's bloody weird. It's incredibly strange. There are some questions that are brought up over the course of the game, of course. But I will at least say that I've not played that much of it to find out the answers to some of those questions. So it just feels weird. It genuinely just feels weird to me that they put in so little effort into actually telling you what the world was like at the beginning. Literally 60 seconds of, like, narration at the beginning. Like, the corporation has taken over. Their drones roam the streets. Anybody who goes against their wishes is disappeared. They killed my parents. They killed my dog. They killed my lover. And now I'm going to go and try and get revenge on them any way I can. A couple of seconds narration at the beginning. Done. Weirdly missing story solved. Easy. No problem whatsoever, right? But no, they don't do that, and I'm not entirely sure why. I just find it to be genuinely bizarre is all, which is the first thing I'm going to bring up. Second thing I'm going to bring up. I don't think that in recent memory, any other VR game has made me this motion sick. I can think of one, like They Were Here, or whatever it was on the PlayStation VR back when it came out. It had like this demo that had you walking down this hallway. But the way they did the movement, the camera, and just the general immersion thing with the VR headset made me feel so ill I had to take the headset off after 2 minutes. It was absolutely bizarre. And this game isn't that bad, but it gets pretty close. I wasn't able to play this for more than 20 minutes at a time. Admittedly, I got better as I went along, and I was able to play it for 40 minutes for 2 different sessions that I recorded for this footage before my head started giving way, but man, it's rough. It's really rough. And to be fair to the game, it gives you an absolute ton of options everywhere. It gives you comfort options, gameplay options, sound options, options for how the locomotion works, and there's seriously like a good dozen options for every one of these segments of the game. And you can change any one of them any way you see fit in order to make the game more comfortable for yourself. And you will need to go through the options menu and set all of these things up before you can realistically start playing. This even includes the difficulty, because if you try playing the game on anything higher than normal to start with, you're not going to make it through the first couple of missions because the game's just not balanced for it. It'll do too much damage to you too fast, you won't have the upgrades you need to survive, and it's just not worth the effort to try. It feels like it's one of those games where you're meant to increase the difficulty as you find it getting easier. But nevertheless, you do need to fiddle around with the options, including the way the controls work, in order for them to actually make any sense to you. They do let you change almost everything about the way the game works, and it actually makes a fair amount of sense, a fair amount of the things that they did, but yeah, the default setup just did not work for me. I had to change it to the wrist turn. Actually, I had it on wrist turn, but I didn't realize you could turn down the sensitivity of the wrist turn, so I changed it to the head turn, but that made me even more motion sick than before. So I changed it back to the wrist turn. Then I turned down the sensitivity of the wrist turn. Then I had to turn the vignette on just a little bit in order to keep myself from getting motion sick too quickly, and it's kind of rough. It's one of those games that you can't realistically recommend to anyone who doesn't have their VR legs yet. This is definitely something for people who are way more experienced than someone who's just bought an Oculus Quest 2 out of the box. It will make you sick. Hell, even watching it here might make you a bit sick just because of how crazy I am. But yeah, anyway, might as well talk about the gameplay now. So, it really is a bit of Spider-Man with guns, ain't it? So you choose, you've got 2 guns, they're 2 pistols, and you can also change them around to shotguns. Then you swing around the environment by using the grips. And then you can use the triggers in order to pull your line in and make yourself go a bit faster. You've also got a jetpack and a slow down time button that you unlock over the course of the tutorial missions that give you pretty much exactly what they say on the tin. The jetpack stops you dead in the air, and the slow down time still lets you shoot bullets at a relatively normal rate. So generally a lot of your combat will be get up close to as many enemies as possible, turn on the slow down time, and then just fire away like crazy and hope you've got enough slow down time in order to actually take out the enemies. Because while you're swinging with one hand, you can't shoot with the other hand. And while you're trying to control your swing with one hand's controls, you're trying to fire away with the other hand's controls. The one gun in this game, even when you've got damage upgrades on, is pretty damn weak. So you do need to come around and constantly be shooting enemies over and over again. And it kind of resorts in the game not being like what I pictured it was in my head, where you're swinging around, turning around, doing a massive amount of shots, and then turning back and grabbing onto a building and swinging again. They do have aim assist in the menu, and even then it's not very effective. The default is 100%, but you can still miss robots that you swear you're hitting directly on top of from a long distance away. To the point where I kept asking myself, I wish there was 150% aim assist or 200% aim assist, so I could kind of go crazy with my gymnastics and just have a bit more fun that way. But it doesn't work like that, unfortunately. So a lot of the combat ends up like what you're seeing on the screen right now, where you find a hard piece of cover, you get behind it, you wait for your health to come back and your slow time to come back, then pop out from behind cover, shoot as many times as you can, then pop back behind cover or jump out of the way or what have you. And it's just not that fun, because you just don't have that much room for tricks or heroics or that much focus on like combat flow, where you have to think to yourself, right, you need to die because it'll make my life easier. Then I'll take you two out because you're closest to me. Then another danger will have come in and I probably need to deal with that. There's no order of operations. There's no prioritization. There's no like really special tricks you need to worry about or get involved with. And so as a result, the combat is just a bit of a bore. Because the best thing to do is to, if you're a long distance away, keep out the pistols. If you manage to get in close, swap to your shotguns. Slow down time. Bang, 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 bang. Go hide behind a corner. There are, of course, a couple of situations where this won't work, but they're so few and far between that when they do come up, you'll know what you need to do, and you'll just be able to do it, no problem, because even on hard, the game can be kind of easy. There is an expert mode, and there are New Game Plus difficulties, but considering the strategies that have been mostly effective so far, I just find myself not being that impressed with it. Which is a shame, because the swinging is arguably the best part of this game. They've actually done a pretty damn good job with it. You've got multiple options on how realistic or how arcadey you want it to be. You've got plenty of options like can you turn yourself with the analog stick in the air, the two different kinds of turning, as I said, being able to slow down time in order to fix up your swinging around or your posture or what have you. Just all of it works once you've got the settings down, as I've said before. And of course there is a bit of motion sickness like I said, but again, fiddle with the settings a little bit and you'll probably be okay. And the game itself knows this as well. The majority of the challenges in the game are swinging challenges. And by challenges I mean side quests, but we'll get to them in a little bit. But the game itself does give you a very thorough tutorial. It lets you slow down the speed of the game to the point where that's actually an option in the game itself. And you can just practice for as long as you need to in order to get used to it. And it can still be a bit rough. You'll still be running into walls, but even then they've got an option that lets you determine what happens when you hit a wall. Which is cool, actually, but they give you what you need to get experienced. And when the flow works, it really works. You're swinging between buildings, you're gaining massive amounts of speed, you're doing massive leaps off of the top of a building and swinging around all over the place. And it's bloody great. It can genuinely be bloody great. I just kind of wish there was a bit more to it than this city where most of the buildings look identical and there's very little in the way of landmarks, and it's just an island in the middle of nowhere. That would be more fun. To me, at least. But still, the swinging itself works really well. They've done a good job with it. And I do really appreciate that most of the side missions are based around it. So when you get to the point when you can unlock the side missions, go around the building and go to these towers, and they're not like towers like you have to climb them. You jump onto them, you do a little thing with like this little panel on the front of it, and then you get a bunch of areas of interest pointed out around you, but there's also a couple of upgrades that let you do it as well. And you just swing through in a bunch of different ways. It's like you swing through a column that runs away from you. You swing through, but you've got obstacles in your path that you need to avoid. You swing through, but you've got a bunch of targets in your path that you need to shoot. It's a bunch of different little things like that, and they're all fun. And they all give you these scores that aren't affected by the difficulty you've got the game on, so that's cool, that works. You just play them and you get XP, and that lets you unlock more fancy abilities and more upgrades to those abilities. And it's a shame that it's as fun as it is, because the combat just kind of lets it down. It's disappointing, if I'm being honest with you. So, yeah, the swinging, pretty good. The combat, not so much. I just wish there was more to it. but there's so little to it that I just find myself thinking that I just find myself getting bored. I'm not the sort of person that can endlessly swing around a city and just find enjoyment from that. I need a little bit more meat on the bones. I need things like tricks. I need things like challenges to do. And when the challenges, the side missions here are done, what else is there? Not much else. And I'm not ready to recommend this game on the swinging on its own, because I will admit the game is also kind of jank. There's a bunch of things that don't really work right, like turning your camera with the right analog stick just doesn't seem to work properly no matter what you do. Sometimes when you run into walls or you try to make turns, it'll just go way too far, way too fast, even though it really wasn't supposed to. There's a bunch of other really little things that don't really bear mentioning, but it's just worth mentioning in aggregate. But do I recommend Resist? It's hard to say no, but it's also hard to say yes. If it had combat on the level of Swarm or maybe even something like Hyperdash, I'd be willing to give it a bit more of a pass. But its lack of story, its relatively uninspired combat, and good swinging that's kind of let down by the other two, not to mention the bare bones map and world design, means that it's just kind of an for me, maybe slightly above average. And the fact that you have to deal with like some potentially really bad motion sickness problems and some, what's the word I'm looking for? The fact that you have to deal with some bad motion sickness problems and some jank make it kind of hard to recommend. With that said though, I don't know why there's not a demo. A demo would work fantastically for this. Give me like a data breach and a ring race mission and like a part of the map to swing around in to make sure that I'll be okay with it and that I don't get massively motion sick. And I'd be happy to say, go try the demo. If you like the demo, buy the game. But yeah, as it is right now, I just find myself saying, get it on sale. With that being said, I'm going to shut up and let you watch a bit more footage of it. This has been Blue Maxima. I'll see you all next time.
So, what's the big news?
What do you know about the Capitol building?
It's big, it's blue, everyone thinks it's an eyesore, though I personally think it looks kind of cool.
The ignorance of the general public never ceases to amaze me.
Hey!
Aside from being an eyesore, which it is, the building also acts as an antenna directing all drone activity in the city.
So what, did you find the building's schematics? Are we gonna toss a bomb down the thermal exhaust port and blow it up?
This isn't a movie, Sam. Besides, we've tried that. The whole building is shielded from both physical and cyber attacks, and the drones prevent us from getting close enough to break through the shielding in person.
I'm guessing this is the part where it gets juicy?
The drone control network is offline for maintenance. The building is defenseless.
Wait, if the drone network is down, how come they're still active?
Good question. These 3 points are temporary control stations, keeping the drones in action till maintenance is complete. If we could take them out, there'd be nothing to stop an assault on the Capitol building.
That's where I come in.
Hey, Charlie!
As you know, I got something special cooked up for this one. We just need you to knock out those control stations.
If we can pull this off, it might finally turn the fight in our favor.
Oh, good. No pressure then. What do we do once the stations are knocked out?
Charlie and I will drive her van into the building and jack into their systems manually. From there, we can delete them or take control of the drones ourselves.
Ooh, we're not about to become villains, are we?
Ezra Corp does have a nice ring to it.
I'm at the station, but it's shielded. How do I get through?
Kinda got my hands full right now. Easy, Charlie. Can you figure it out?
must be a weak point. One down, two to go.
This course of action is ill-advised.
You again!
Emerson planted fake intel for you to find. Your friends are walking into a trap.
What? Are you sure? Ezra, we sure about this plan?
What? No, Charlie, left of the lights. Left! Sorry, what did you say?
What if the intel is bad? We could be walking into a trap.
I know Astra's protocols better than they do. The intel is real.
Yeah, but what if you got it wrong?
Sam, Charlie and I are en route to the capital. You need to knock out those towers now.
Two down, one left.
Your friends are committed to this plan, but you can still save yourself.
And leave them?
Self-preservation is the rational choice.
Rational or not, you don't just abandon people, no matter how bad it gets. Or maybe you do.
Sam, we're almost there. Take out the last tower.
Heroes. The last tower's down. You're clear.
We're approaching the Capitol building. It shouldn't take us too long to break their defense.
Ezra? Ezra!
It is too late for them. Save yourself.
Ezra, if you can hear me, hold tight. I'm coming. Ezra, get out of there! It's a trap!
No shit.
The van's been disabled, Sam. We need time to get it running again. Can you cover us?
I'll try.
Crawler incoming. If it reaches us, we're cooked.
Time to initiate Plan B.
It's a trap!
No shit.
The van's been disabled, Sam. We need time to get it running again. Can you cover us?
I'll try.
Crawler incoming. If it reaches us, we're cooked.
we looking?
Almost done.
Ah, good. More company. Sam?
I'm on it.
Okay, Charlie, try it now.
Hell yeah, let's roll.
Sam, there's some kind of shield in our path.
Hold on.
I think we're in the clear.
What the hell is that? Up there! Holy shit!
My God.
What do we do?
I don't...
You two get out of here. I'll handle that thing.
Sam, that thing is shielded. You can't kill it.
Who said anything about killing it? I'm trying to buy you time. Now move!
Sam, it's working. Keep distracting it. Okay, Sam, we're safe. You should get out of there.
Gee, I was gonna hang around with this giant killer robot all day, but if you think I should go...
Right. I'll talk to you back at the safe house.
Assuming I make it back in one piece. happened back there?
You were right. It was a trap. Astra knew we were coming. If you hadn't been there to distract that monster...
Distracted was about all I could do. My guns were useless against its shields. How are we gonna beat that thing?
I have an idea. You see the headset apparatus in the corner?
You mean the cyberpunk gimp mask I've been pretending not to notice?
It's called a neural bridge. We can use it to find schematics for that thing. Put it on.
Okay, but for the record, my safe word is pineapple. Wait. I know this place. This is...
City? Not quite. This is actually just a visual representation of information. I could make it look like anything, really, but the city seemed like a natural choice.
What the hell is that?
Sam, you have to keep moving in here. Head for that beacon. I'll explain as we go. Now get to another beacon before the timer runs out.
I'm guessing bad things will happen if I don't.
Best not to find out.
What's happening?
You've been detected. Hit another beacon before you're caught.
So what am I doing exactly?
Right now, you're hacking into the Astra R&D network.
By swinging through glowing lights?
The neural bridge translates physical input into computer code, and vice versa. Your actions are guiding the hacking program as it breaks into the Astra network.
Ah, that makes sense.
Really?
Not even a little bit. This might be a dumb question, but if the program is this advanced, do I really need to be here?
Yes. This software is good, but it can't match the complexity of the human brain. By using your own neural pathways as a framework, the program becomes extremely adaptable and robust.
So it's just using me like a parasite?
No, your actions also guide the program and add crucial unpredictability. It's more of a symbiotic relationship, like tarantulas and frogs.
Tarantulas and... You know what? I don't want to know.
Are you sure? It's quite fascinating. I'd be more than happy to explain it in detail.
I bet you would. Hard pass.
That's it. I'm pulling you out. How do you feel? Using the neural bridge for the first time can leave people a little disoriented.
Ezra, listen to me. I've been to that
Sorry
place.
to interrupt, but if you two are finished playing Pitfall, we still have a 200-ton item on our to-do list. But that thing patrolling our streets, no one can move. Yet I'm running dangerously low on snacks.
Let's analyze the data you found.
Computer, begin tactical analysis.
I beg your pardon?
Nothing. What did we find?
Right. Well, the good news is we can fight this thing. The unit on top is the shield generator. Destroy it, and the shield is gone.
And the bad news?
Even without a shield, this thing will be tough. But it does have its weak points. Destroying these targeting cameras will make the laser much less accurate, while taking out the knee servos should severely inhibit its movement speed.
Eyes and knees, just like Mom taught me.
And if you can get behind it, destroying these power generators will inflict massive damage.
Then it's dead, right?
Almost. Cause enough damage and it will become vulnerable. All you have to do then is get on top of it, rip off this hatch, and blow up the core.
Oh, is that all?
Sam, you got this.
You'd better hope so, because if I fail, I'm coming back to haunt you.
I'll set a waypoint.
No need. You can hear that thing from miles away.
Just keep moving, avoid the laser, and I'll coach you through the rest. the targeting cameras.
Cut him!
Take out the knees.
Hell yeah!
Destroy those generators.
Take that!
Okay, now land on top of it.
Woohoo!
You did it!
Fuck yeah!
Congratulations! You destroyed a single robot.
What the?
How will Astra ever recover from this mortal blow?
Listen to me, you piece of shit.
That's President piece of shit. Please show some respect.
This is just the beginning, you hear me? I'm coming for you!
Oh, I'm counting on it.
Was that Emerson? Damn. You must have really pissed him off.
I swear to God, when I find that son of a bitch...
One battle at a time, Sam. Despite what he said, you've struck a major blow to Astra today. And I know just how to capitalize on it. We'll have to wait till dark, though. Let me know when you're ready.